go ahead, Chief.
All right, just in way of intro, Chief Dan Alexander, D-A-N-A-L-E-X-A-N-D-E-R, Chief of Police for Boca Raton. Chief Lowe is with me here today, Charles Lowe, C-H-A-R-L-E-S-L-O-W-E. We'll go ahead and read a statement, and then we will go ahead and take your questions. Chief Lowe. We received a non-emergency call at approximately 10:01 this morning. The complainant reported to us what appeared to be a homeless man on the roof of Building 3 in the Research Park, and that's 3701 Northwest 8th Avenue. Two FAU PD officers arrived on the scene and proceeded on the roof together. They found a white male between the ages of 20 and 30 on the roof. Preliminarily, it appears the suspect produced a knife and shots were fired. The suspect was struck. He was transported in serious condition to the Delray Medical Center. No police officers were injured and no civilians were directly involved in the incident. This is an isolated incident which occurred and was confined within the Research Park itself. The university was not on lockdown. Again, this was an isolated incident contained to the roof in the Research Park. Boca Raton Police Department and the State Attorney's Office will be investigating the case.
Chief, can you tell us where this man was shot and how many times?
That's part of the investigation, so I'm not going to really comment on that at the moment.
And Chief, was this homeless man threatening someone? Can you go over that?
That's, again, part of the investigation. I really want to defer that to the investigators. I don't want to do anything that would prejudice the investigation.
How did he gain access to the roof?
Again, I can't answer that question. I would have to defer that to investigators so they could give you a better answer on that.
And as far as a status update for the campus, as far as a lockdown, the procedures that were followed as soon as shots were called in?
We did not go on lockdown. This was a completely contained incident. It was all on the roof of this building here in the Research Park and not on the campus proper.
Can you tell us about the response? How many officers, how many firefighters showed up and how they got to the roof of the building?
I can't tell you exactly how many officers or firefighters showed up because it was a significant response is the best that I can give you at the moment. There's a significant number of officers and firefighters and paramedics.
Was anybody evacuated? What about the people working in the building?
No one was evacuated. Again, this situation evolved very rapidly and was contained on the roof itself.
The homeless man was shot several times and taken to the hospital?
It was reported as a homeless man. He was shot and he was transported to the Delray Medical Center.
So the initial statement from your FAU officers is that this homeless man came after your officers with a knife?
I cannot comment on the investigation itself.
Was there a knife recovered at the scene? Anything recovered at the scene?
Again, I cannot comment on the investigation itself. You know, there's folks working on that right now. This is all very preliminary, and we should have more information.
Chief, who is investigating, the FAU or the Boca Raton or both?
It will be the Boca Raton PD and the State Attorney's Office.
Are you ready to speak to us, Chief Alexander?
Sure. Questions?
Yes, he's referred several times to investigators. Can you tell us the nature of the investigation? What have you gleaned so far?
Well, preliminary has been used quite a bit in this circumstance, and it is. We're talking about an incident that's about a couple hours old, so there's a lot that is preliminary. What we have told you up front is that there was a homeless male on the roof. Officers were presented with what we believe to be a threat, and they dealt with that threat.
So someone in the office park called FAU police and said, we've got this guy up on the roof. Did they know he had a knife at that point?
We had a complainant. We're not identifying who that complainant is. The information I have given you thus far is information that we've derived from our preliminary investigation, and we can't comment any further on that right now.
Is there anything you can tell us about this man? Do you think he lives here? Any ties to FAU? He's in his 20s, is what Chief Lowe mentioned. Anything else that you can tell us about him?
Yeah, preliminarily, we talked about the individual being 20 to 30 years of age, appears to be homeless at this point, but that's conjecture also. And that's all the information we can release at this time. Anything else?
So you don't know whether he had a tie to this business park, whether he was in any way targeting this place?
There's no way for us to make that determination. I think, as the chief said, there's very preliminary.
And he was shot several times, Chief?
We're not saying exactly how many times he was shot. Again, that's part of the investigation. It would be premature for us to comment on something of that nature.
And I assume the officers that were involved, have they been placed on paid administrative leave at this point?
It's still too early to talk about that status, other than to say that the officers are okay. I think all of you know that this is an extremely traumatic incident for police officers. And as we conduct our investigation, we take that into consideration. We're just happy the police officers are okay.
And these are all FAU officers, or they also included Boca Raton?
That's correct. The response came from FAU, and they were strictly, the agency was involved in this case. Very good.
All right,
Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.